Hey, what's up, guys? Steve the Book Guy here. I'm actually about 4 seconds from running out the door. We're heading out to a source and a pickup. But last night, I was looking up Dell Yearling vintage paperbacks, and I wanted to kind of share some of the stuff that I had kind of seen. One of the goals here, we do a lot of book consulting, and we help people with their collections, on top of course, book rescue and all the other stuff. But part of the job is kind of knowing what's collectible and what's not. You know, what books are people actually looking for at the end of the day? One of the ways that we research these things, and there's many ways, but I'm just going to show you a quick and dirty way. What I've done here, what you're looking at is eBay, obviously. We've typed Dell Yearling in here as the query, and now what we've done is we've come over to the side and we're going to come to sold and completed listings. When you do this, it lets you know what actually like money has exchanged hands, which is important. You know, it's like looking at an auction receipts or anything like that, or real estate comparisons. You know, what are things actually being sold for? So I try to, when I do this kind of research, I do try to keep it very generic because I want it to shoot up to me all of the coolest stuff. Now, another thing that we've done is we've sorted by price, shipping, highest. And collectability isn't all about being the most expensive thing. However, supply and demand would dictate that either if it's a high price, it's either a really low supply book, meaning there's not as many of them as people would like to keep that cost down, or the demand itself is really high, or some kind of combination of the two. So again, eBay sold listings, shipping highest, and this will kind of give you a really quick and dirty indicator of what's collectible in whatever your query is. And you can do this with anything, not just books. But having said that, let's kind of scroll through here and pick out some winners. We've got Wigger by William Goldman, which I believe William Goldman wrote Lord of the Flies. I could be wrong on that, so don't quote me on that. And then, of course, your bundles go super well. So if you have a bunch of these vintage Dell Yearling books, don't throw them away. People really, really do like them. They buy them in bundles. They use them for school, for classrooms, for homeschool, all these different things. And you can see about 9 of them are going for $30, which is pretty good for like a little paperback, right? So, but I'm trying to find like individual titles that might be a little bit more collectible or more expensive. Something that I would really need to identify going through a collection or helping an auctioneer or something, identify kind of the bangers, as it were, or the goodies. And so we'll just kind of go through the first page and we'll do this pretty quick. So Judy Blume seems to be super popular, obviously. Judy Blume of Judy Blume fame. Are You There, God, Margaret? It's Me, Margaret. That's a real popular one. A lot of us will remember that one. These are okay. Here's another Are You. We'll look at these. So what I'm doing is I'm just opening these up into a new tab, and we'll look real fast. So cool. We've got about 5 here. So this seems to be the big winner. Let me see. Yep. See the original listing here. Okay. So this is one of the covers that you should look for. And I'm not necessarily going to give too much commentary on the books. I just want to kind of show you the covers. That first one was Wigger, and it goes for $75. And again, this is a sold listing, which means somebody did shell out $75 for this little vintage paperback. So, which is good to know, because now if you're out and about at a thrift store, it's important to grab these books off the shelf and buy them, just even to preserve them, because if nobody ends up buying it from the store, they're going to end up recycling it. A lot of my books that I get are books in this situation. When I go to get them, I don't like sort them on site. I just take them all and they end up in my garage. And, but again, if obviously not everyone's set up to do that, so knowing what books are really good is super important. And that's the end of my song, so I got to go fast. We got Blue Ridge Billy by Lois Linsky. I have no idea what this one's about. Of course, Judy Blume. This is actually a box set. I don't know if I meant to bring that. And here's probably the more popular one of all the Judy Blume books. A lot of folks read this, like nostalgia counter off the charts. Are You There, God? It's Me, Margaret, which is a fair question. A lot of people question their faith and they have hard questions. And this book kind of let people know it's okay to have these questions. You know what I mean? And it's good to ask questions. This is another copy of that same book. So again, very consistent. And again, a little paperback. You'll see these at thrift stores and garage sales and for like $0.25 sometimes. So, and somebody wants it. Somebody wants to capture that part of their childhood and leave it on the shelf because it's like having an art piece. You know what I'm saying? When you look at a painting, it gives you a memory or it jogs an emotion of some kind. Book covers kind of do the same thing, you know, because you remember what you felt like when you read the book. You remember the place you were in your life when you were reading the book. It's super important, again, to make sure these things don't end up in the trash. So the last one we'll look at here is Harry Cat's Pet Puppy, about $15. So, and again, little paperbacks. We'll go back to that first one. Here's the real big winner, Wigger by William Goldman. Basically, if it's a Dell Yearling, I would probably just go ahead and pick it up. The Great Brain Does It Again, Blue Ridge Billy by Lois Linsky. I would pick anything up by Lois Linsky. And of course, Are You There, God? It's Me, Margaret. And then Harry Cat's Pet Puppy by George Selden. As of today, $4.17. These are the most expensive sold individual paperback Dell Yearling books on eBay. And that's all I wanted to do. I like to learn stuff. And I'm going to share the stuff that I learned. That way, you know, rising tides raise all ships and we can make sure that no book is left behind. You know what I mean? So until tomorrow.